Welcome to Have You Read It? The channel where we bring books to life, one summary at a time. Today we're diving deep into Kara Swisher's Burn Book, a tech love story. A memoir that's equal parts a personal journey and a scathing critique of the tech industry. Swisher, a veteran tech journalist, takes us behind the scenes of Silicon Valley's rise, exposing the egos, ambitions, and sometimes the outright recklessness that shaped our digital world. Swisher begins by painting a picture of her early life, highlighting the defining moment of her childhood, the sudden death of her father when she was only 5 years old. She describes how this loss instilled in her a sense of life's capriciousness and a drive to just keep going no matter what. Her family moved to Princeton after her mother remarried, and, while this provided a comfortable upbringing, her relationship with her stepfather was difficult, teaching her to be quick on her feet and a strategic thinker. Despite early academic success, Swisher found traditional schooling unfulfilling. She attended Georgetown University but felt out of place, especially as a closeted lesbian. Finding solace in journalism, she began writing for the school paper and eventually became a stringer for the Washington Post. This early experience ignited her passion for reporting and gave her a taste of the power of media. Swisher recounts her early days at the Washington Post, where she felt confined by the traditional journalistic practices. She saw the immense potential of the burgeoning internet and fought to cover it, even when others dismissed it as a passing fad. She recalls her revelation while at Duke University, realizing that everything that can be digitized will be digitized. She details her initial fascination with AOL and its CEO Steve Case, who saw the future of connecting people online. Despite the skepticism of her peers, she recognized the significance of this new medium and decided to dedicate her career to covering it. Her first book was about AOL and Steve Case. In 1997, Swisher made the pivotal decision to move to California and join the Wall Street Journal, becoming their first dedicated internet reporter. She describes feeling like a gold prospector arriving in a land of immense opportunity. Veteran tech reporter Walt Mossberg told her to parachute in with your cleats on, and to cover them hard since they're going to run the world. Swisher recounts her early impressions of the key players in Silicon Valley. She found Netscape's Mark Andreessen brilliant but immature, while Yahoo's Jerry Yang and David Filo embodied youthful energy and a consumer-focused approach. She notes the casual hypocrisy that became increasingly common among Silicon Valley's elite, who often espoused idealistic values while engaging in ruthless business practices. She observed the rise of performative playfulness in tech company culture, questioning its true connection to innovation. Swisher reflects on her coverage of the dot-com boom and bust, describing the manic nature of the industry. She recalls the rise and fall of companies like Webvan and Kozmo.com, whose unsustainable business models foreshadowed the coming crash. She recounts how AOL CEO Steve Case's vision became a reality when AOL acquired Time Warner in 2000, a deal she characterized as the heist of the century. She emphasizes that the period marked a turning point, the peak moment for the internet's first revolution, before the businesses all came crashing down for most of them. The narrative transitions to Swisher's coverage of Google and its founders, Sergey Brin and Larry Page. She details her early meetings with them, noting their quirky personalities and the company's unique culture. She sees Google's search engine as a database of human intentions, recognizing its transformative potential. She recalls her advice to Yahoo co-founder Jerry Yang to sever their search partnership with Google, predicting that Google would eventually dominate the market. She describes the hiring of Eric Schmidt as CEO of Google to provide adult supervision to the two founders. Swisher recounts her experiences with Jeff Bezos and the rise of Amazon. She describes Bezos as feral and possessing a relentless ambition. She highlights Amazon's focus on systems and distribution, recognizing its potential to revolutionize retail. She details early tensions with Bezos, including his reaction to negative press coverage. Swisher contrasts Bezos with the Google founders, noting his harder-edged personality and focus on profits. She credits Bezos's then-wife, Mackenzie Scott, with softening his image. She remembers her friendship and professional relationship with Steve Jobs, detailing the iconic CEO's personality, vision, and impact on the tech world. She describes how Jobs mastered the art of melding creativity and science. Swisher recounts the first time she saw Jobs display a touch of emotion in 2007. She relays a conversation with Jobs where he talked about his cancer diagnosis, his thoughts on death, and its relationship to making the big choices in life. Swisher highlights how Jobs saw his job as not just making cool technology, but setting values. She notes his belief in the importance of a free and healthy press. Swisher describes how Jobs' success has made him a gatekeeper of media. The narrative shifts to Mark Zuckerberg and the rise of Facebook. She recalls her initial impression of Zuckerberg, describing him as awkward and socially inept, but possessing a clear ambition. She details Zuckerberg's famous saying about move fast and break things as evidence of potential irresponsibility. She describes Facebook's growing influence on politics and society and highlights growing criticisms regarding privacy, misinformation, and addiction. She recalls her conversation with Zuckerberg on Holocaust denial, where she was aghast at Zuckerberg's seeming lack of understanding about the issue. Swisher reflects on her own evolution as a journalist, acknowledging her shift from reporter to analyst and advocate. She admits to sometimes using her platform to offer her honest opinions to tech leaders, even when they were unwelcome. She made the decision to leave the Wall Street Journal and form All Things Digital with Walt Mossberg, striking out on her own to create a more independent platform. She reflects on her decision to start a family, noting the challenges of balancing career and motherhood in the demanding tech world. Swisher details her health scare in 2011, suffering a stroke while traveling in Hong Kong. She describes how this experience further solidified her desire to live life to the fullest and pursue her passions. This spurred her to leave the Wall Street Journal with Walt Mossberg. Swisher recounts her years running All Things Digital ND, All Things Digital Conference with Walt Mossberg, and notes some early wins. She realized the need to keep growing and the limitations News Corp put on what she wanted to build. Swisher reflects on the 2011 decision to leave All Things Digital, the reasons behind the decision, and what followed. She details the launch of Recode and its focus on holding the tech industry accountable, which also put a strain on some of her relationships with people in the industry. She describes the heist of the century, the AOL-Time Warner merger, and the lessons learned. She acknowledges that while successful, being good is a constant task, which meant she was forced to continue to evolve her approach to keep up with the ever-changing landscape of tech and the world. Swisher details the sale of Recode to Vox, which allowed her to reach a wider audience. She describes launching the Recode Decode podcast, allowing her to engage in long-form conversations. Swisher touches on the 2016 election and how it had been impacted in large part to social media. Swisher acknowledges all the changes in her life, her body, etc. As she gets older, Swisher then reflects on two key points: 1, to be an ethical person, and 2, how key it is that big tech is aware of its power and the dangers that come along with it. The narrative highlights a turning point as a more thoughtful approach to tech criticism started to emerge. She acknowledges that she was not a fan of Steve Jobs and talks about their relationship. She recognizes that while they did not change much, some in the sector were moving toward a new type of leadership. Swisher is done looking back and wants to focus on what is coming next. She has a lot of now what-ifs after the book concludes. With the knowledge of the past and understanding of the now, Swisher has a clearer understanding of the future. Swisher shares her thoughts on where to take technology and poses the question as to will we use it to warm our house, rather than let those who did not care enough burn it down. Swisher finishes the book by asking, "What are we all going to do?" and points out that it is on society, not the machines, to make it happen. We must act, and we must do it quickly to push technology toward its potential for positive impact. The main takeaway is that technology is an extremely powerful tool, but it needs to be wielded responsibly by people from different backgrounds, experiences and thoughts, and that innovation is not solely dependent on profit and control. Swisher urges us to embrace it and not shrink away from it, even as we go to the polls and vote for those who are willing to take the heat in Washington. Some heuristics from the book. Everything that can be digitized will be digitized. It's not about the technology. It's about everything else but the technology. Techies and also media inevitably lie. Technology requires humanity. Power does not last. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss our next book dive.